Hey everybody, welcome back to In the Know with Andrew and Noel. We're going to talk about handling objections while you're making your appointments, dials, text message, just, the things what to expect when you're calling on leads that are a little bit newer, leads that are a little bit older, what to expect when you're calling, especially on older leads. You should be expecting certain level of pushback and objections, and so with that, knowing what to say, like thinking back when you were a brand new agent, Noel, and when you started making um dials and you were making phone calls, when you're thinking about, and most agents are starting on older leads, right? And so when you're starting on older leads, what's a good mindset to go into, like what to expect, like just that very thing. What are you expecting to hear back in response and objections when you're calling them? And then what would you say to try to overcome that?
So older leads are just that. They're old. They've been called on a ton of times. So you have to approach them very, very differently than an A lead. An A lead is fresh. You're the first one to work it. So you're pretty much good to go. With an older lead, I kind of approach it more as an investigation. I'm calling them to see what the heck happened. Okay. So it's more of like, you've been in our system for a long time. We don't have any record of you being taken care of. I'm concerned. I want to figure out what happened. And then you let them talk for a little bit, and they're going to say, oh, I met with somebody, we already took care of it. Or we met with somebody and I was too sick. We met with somebody and I was too overweight. We met with somebody and it was too expensive. My agent was a jerk. My agent never called me back. Like, you're going to hear a dozen different reasons why they either didn't do business or they already did. Okay. And there's a really simple formula that you can follow with them and overcome every objection the same way. So it starts with, what happened, let them talk to you. And then empathy. That's the first one, is be like, man, I'm really sorry. It sounds like that last agent you talked to was a jerk. Like, get on their level with them. Or like, man, I'm sorry someone told you that you were too sick to qualify for coverage. I've never heard of that in my life. That's crazy. What, did you have your head chopped off like a year ago? Like, why couldn't they cover you? So just empathize with them, and then you specialize in whatever objection they gave you. Man, I am so sorry that were told that you're too sick. I specialize in tricky medical cases. I'll tell you what, let me get you on my schedule. It'll be a quick review. At least you know what you qualified for. So it's empathize with them. You specialize in whatever problem they gave you. And then you're not asking them, you're telling them, let me get you on my calendar. Let me get this information out to you. I'll personally step in and take care of this for you. And so, with the older leads, you've got to approach it a little bit differently, because if you call them up and say, hey, this is Noelle Hughes with the Mortgage Protection calling on a request you made last week on your loan on 123 Sesame Street, and they'll be like, click, I never made a request. You're a liar. I can't tell you how many like bad names I've been called dialing old leads, and people are like, you're a liar. I'm going to hunt you down and murder your family. Like, crazy people. So just approach it like an investigation. Listen, I'm looking over old files, and I found yours. It came across my desk, and I'm just trying to see what happened with this. This is the mortgage protection. We don't have any record that you got your options. What happened? Tell me what happened here. Let them talk, empathize. You specialize in it. Don't ask, tell, book it. So that's how I approach older leads. Now, what would you recommend, Andrew, for new leads? Like a fresh lead, somebody just called on it. It might even be an A lead, because I know we've all had this where you call it and you're like, hey, I'm the mortgage protection agent. You made a request 3 days ago on a phone, or whatever, however you dial, and they'll be like, oh yeah, we're not interested anymore. How do you overcome those?
I remember my uncle telling me, without sounding, maybe I won't say that, but you can't help everybody, right? But we're just trying to find the people that want the help. And here's the thing, I know people don't know what I know, right? If you lined up 100 people and asked them what is the working definition of mortgage protection, with what we can offer them, 95 at least are going to get it wrong. There's a couple that might be close and there's a couple that might be right. But I mean, I can't begin to tell you how many times I've met with people and they're like, wow, this is nothing like what I thought it was. And it's like, yeah, that's why we needed to get in front of you. And so it's not, when people aren't interested, it's not saying you need to be pushy to get in front of them, but there's a good chance that the reason they're saying no, not interested, is because what they think you're going to talk to them about, they're not interested in. But here's the thing, there's a good chance that what they think and what's actually going to happen are going to be very different. And so, I mean, that can be a frustrating thing on a different level. You're working brand new leads. You're thinking they're supposed to be easier, and they are, but you still get the people that just, I don't know why they did it, right? Like, that's the $1 billion question, right? Why does somebody get a form and call in? Or why does somebody get even crazier than, you called into a number and listened for a 5-minute auto prompt? Think about all of and this is like the mindset behind calling a lead, right? Like, think about everything it takes. Like, how much junk mail do you get in your house in a given day? And how much of it, one, do you not read? How much of it do you skim through and throw away? And how much of it do you read and still throw away? Like, so for the fact that somebody read through a more on the mailbacks, at least, because there's different ways we get responses, but more in particular on the mailbacks, somebody read through the form. It talks about everything. There's no question what they were filling out. They hand filled out information, put birthday, put their name, best time to call, phone number. Some of the leads will even ask like height and weight and smoker status, things like that. And then they went to their mailbox and put that in the mail and mailed it back. Like, you do not do that by accident, right? You don't. I promise you, you don't. Like, I don't know how you could accidentally do that, right? And so in that moment when somebody did that, they might have been like, man, I feel like I shouldn't have done that. But in that moment, they read it and a concern came over them. Like, that would be a problem, I feel like. If something happened to me, we should have coverage. And so that's why they made the phone call. That's why they went online and responded. That's why they mailed it back. That's why they did whatever they did to respond back to that form. And so that's the moment we're trying to capture, whether it's an old lead, but when it's a new lead, we can try to remind them of that sooner. Like, that, why did they do that, is a little bit fresher on their brain. But I mean, I'm not trying to twist someone's arm to get in front of them. You get 100 leads, you're not going to book 100 appointments. You get 100 leads, you'll probably book 80, we'll say. So that means 20 of them you can just burn. Like, literally, you could burn, right? And of that 80, you're not going to sit on all 80, right? If you booked 80, let's say you sit somewhere between 60 and 70. So most of the appointments you book, you will sit, right? Maybe not immediately. Maybe they reschedule for the next day or the day after. But eventually, if you book 80, you'll probably sit on, we'll say, 60 of them, right? And so what 60 are you going to sit on out of that 100? I don't know, right? So when you call them, it's, I remember hearing the phrase, when you're calling somebody, it's, listen, I understand my job is to get you the information.
That's a Rob Jones classic. That was his like overcome for every single objection. And he would sound bored. I understand. I still have, like, I'm required to go over my company's options with you. But we've got work, we've got school. I understand. I'm required to go over these options with you. I understand. Like, for everything, it was the same, like, same tonality. He was bored. He was like borderline annoyed that he had to do this phone call. But it was just, I understand. I've got to get these options out to you. After that, it's up to you what you want to do with it. Like, I'm required to go over these options with you. You do with what you want, but I have to do this, you know? And so a lot of people, they'll tell you no because they're afraid of buying. And those are the people that you will sell. They're the ones that you will close because they're buyers. And they don't want to sit with you because they know that they might do that. So if you kind of relieve that pressure, like, hey, I get it. I understand. I am required to go over this with you. After that, it's up to you what you want to do with it. Then they're like, oh, okay. She's not trying to shove something down our throats. So, it's just a really simple one-liner objection that you can use, a one-liner to overcome pretty much any objection that you might find on the phone.
And here's the nice thing about that too. Like I remember hearing that first thing, and it's like, who's requiring us to do this? You know who it is? You are the boss, right? You are your office, right? You are your own boss, right? And you are requiring yourself to sit with everyone before you can close out the files. Like, how do I know if this makes sense to someone or not, right? So, I mean, it's nice to have that one liner, that I remember hearing Rob Jones said, and that's what I fell back on. If someone said something that I didn't know how to overcome, that's what I would fall back to. Get that one liner that you can say, because it's just like, I can keep saying this until you book the appointment or hang up. I mean, it's not that hard to say, and it's really not going to hurt my feelings. When you're a new agent, you're thinking, am I interrupting their life? Are they busy? Are they annoyed I'm calling? Maybe. But
Yeah.
here's the thing, you have no idea what's going on in their life. So you just need to call and you just need to try to book the appointment. They filled out the request, and it's just they don't know what you know. So I just need to get you the information. I don't know if this makes sense for you. I really don't care if you get it or not. But since you filled out this form, I need to get you the information, and then you can make a good decision. And so remember that the point of booking appointments is to book the appointment, not to close a sale or generate interest. Like, I'm not interested. That's fine. I still need to get you the information. I don't care if you're interested. I don't care if you're not interested. I don't care if you're already covered. Like, I don't listen, I understand, but it's my job to get you the information. Like, if I could give anybody, a couple words of advice, that would be it. Use that one liner, and it will give you so much more comfort in making your dials, because it doesn't matter if it's a new lead or if it's an old lead. You can still say that, and you'll book appointments off of it. And the more times you do appointments, the more creative you can get with handling objections. But I never liked the idea of having the answer for everything. I mean, because, so it's just, don't be afraid to make a mistake. Fumble through your words a little bit. Who cares? I mean, you're not doing that on brand new leads, right? You've already done that on old leads. So by the time you get to new leads, you're a little bit more comfortable booking your appointment. So go screw things up on leads that are old, really old. I mean, so that's the way I looked at it. Like, who cares how old the lead is? I look at it as cheap practice or free practice, depending on where you got the leads from, right? Maybe your hiring manager has leads that are like 5 years old. Like, God help you with those leads, but hey, it's a free way of getting some practice, right? You're going to hear it all. And so, the mindset of going in, and, I think it's good to have a good mindset. Like, if you're calling old leads, expect pushback, expect that these people have already been contacted, expect that. Don't let that surprise you. When you're calling new leads, sometimes that happens, not as much. But the nice thing about newer leads is I can get my appointments booked faster. How much time it's going to take me to book 20 appointments, or I'm just trying to book 5 or 6 and 7 or 8 in a day. I can do that in a lot shorter time than I can the older ones, so have that little one liner. Listen, I understand, but it's my job to get you the information, and you'll just build off from there. And so that's what gave me a lot of comfort when I, for the first 6 months, I would say, me being a newer agent, when I'd make dials, if they said something I wasn't sure how to overcome, that's what I'd always revert back to. Listen, I understand, but it's just my job to get you the information. What time works best for you? I'll be, I'm booking appointments later today. If you're doing in person, I'll be in your area tomorrow or the next day.
Yep.
And just book it and see what happens.
Yep. I think to close it out, you've got to go into it, with the, like you said, the proper mindset, set a realistic expectation for yourself, and then push yourself. And then go into it, instead of looking at it as a piece of paper who's going to tell you no. Like, this stack of leads is my responsibility of people to take care of. These are people who requested protection on their family. It is my job. It is my ethical responsibility to get that information to every single one of them. And whether I have to dial them 55 times before they answer the 56th time, I will do that, because they haven't responded to me yet. Okay. And so change your mindset to, you know, oh, dialing sucks, or, you know, I'm afraid, what objections am I going to get? They're going to tell me no. Come from it from a point of like power. Like, we all know somebody who's died who didn't have life insurance. We've all seen the GoFundMe's. We've all seen the bake sales and the stuff that we, you know, people had to do to bury their family. This is our job. It's our responsibility to make sure these people have their options. And so you can be a little bit bold on the phone and just get in front of them. Okay. That's the whole goal of the dials. Like Andrew said, not to sell them. It's to book an appointment, to have a conversation with somebody later. So, you know, go into it with the right mindset and change your attitude about a lead. And you'll see, you know, a lot of things change for you in your dial days. So, well, that's all we've got for now, you guys. Like and subscribe to our channel, like this video, and tune into the next one on overcoming objections in the home.